In the center of the galaxy, a secret meeting was taking place inside the high walls of the Galactic War Council. The room was large and cold, filled with leaders from different alien races. Their faces showed worry, and their voices were low. The Silencers, a deadly enemy that no one fully understood, had returned. One by one, their ships had destroyed planets without warning. No one had survived. Not even a signal had escaped. These creatures did not speak, did not ask for peace, and gave no reason for their attacks. They were like shadows in space, moving fast and killing everything in their path. The Alliance had fought many enemies before, but never like this. Weapons did not stop them. Shields failed. Traps were useless. Each time the Alliance fought, they lost more soldiers, more ships, and more hope. The war was turning into a slow defeat. That's when someone at the table said something shocking. "We must ask the humans for help." For a moment, no one said a word. Some looked confused. Others laughed softly, thinking it was a joke. Humans? The wild species from a small blue planet? The ones known for their violence, their endless wars, and their history of destruction? No one in the galaxy trusted them. They were seen as dangerous and unstable. But the person who spoke did not smile. He repeated, "They are fighters. They never give up. If anyone can stop the Silencers, it might be them." A long silence followed. Then arguments began. One alien leader shouted, "They are monsters! If we bring them here, we are finished!" Another said, "They're unpredictable. We don't understand how they think." But then the voice of the oldest member of the council spoke up. His voice was soft, but full of power. "We are losing. If we do not change something now, we will all die. Let the humans join us. Let them fight." In the end, the vote was made. With heavy hearts and many doubts, the Galactic Alliance sent a message to Earth. They asked for help, and Earth answered. 2 weeks later, a large human ship approached, the Alliance's war base. Its design was different. Sharp angles, dark colors, and heavy weapons. Aboard the ship was Captain Raina Cole, leader of the human mission team. She was known on Earth as a hero, but to the Alliance, she was a risk. As her ship docked, many alien eyes watched from behind screens and windows. Whispers filled the base. "They are here. The humans have arrived. I heard they destroyed their own cities during a war. They eat meat from living things. Fear and curiosity spread like a virus." Raina stepped out first, wearing black armor with a silver Earth flag on her chest. Her eyes were sharp, calm, and cold. Behind her, 5 more human soldiers followed. All of them were silent, looking straight ahead. They walked with purpose, like they had already won a battle. One alien guard said quietly, "They smile, but their eyes are like predators." The first meeting between humans and the Alliance officers was full of tension. Raina stood tall and spoke clearly. "We are here to help, but understand this. We are not your pets. We do not take orders unless they make sense. We do not follow blindly. We fight to win." The room was silent. Some alien generals didn't like her words, but others felt something strange. Respect. Raina didn't act weak. She didn't try to please anyone. She acted like someone ready to face death and bring it to others if needed. Over the next few days, the humans were shown around the base. They stayed quiet but watched everything. They spoke little, but when they did, they asked smart questions. They studied the enemy ships, the battle maps, and the war records. One human officer, Lieutenant Rourke, said after one meeting, "These aliens are too soft. They don't think like survivors. That's why they're losing." Some aliens felt insulted. Others felt nervous, but no one could deny the truth in those words. Strange things began to happen soon after. A small weapon from the armory went missing. A fighter drone crashed during a test flight. A security system shut down for 2 minutes without warning. Some aliens began to blame the humans. They said the humans were playing mind games, testing the base's weak points. Captain Reyna denied nothing. She only said, "If we were the enemy, you'd already be dead." These words made the fear grow deeper. Were the humans helping? Or were they preparing for something else? One night, 2 alien officers stood in a hallway, watching the humans train. They moved fast, like machines. Their weapons were part of their bodies. Every movement was deadly and clean. One of the aliens whispered, "We let them in, but did we open the door for our own end?" The other said, "I don't know, but one thing is clear. Humans are not what we expected. They are something different." Back in her quarters, Captain Reyna looked at the stars through the window. She knew what the aliens were thinking. She could feel their fear. But she didn't care. Her mission was clear: stop the silencers. And if the Alliance got in her way, well, that was their problem. And far away, hidden in the dark corners of space, the silencers were already moving again. 3 days after the humans arrived, the first joint mission was ready. It was a scouting mission to the edge of the red zone, the area where the silencers had last attacked. No one returned from there. The mission was simple: fly in, gather, data, fly out. The Alliance picked their best pilots. The humans sent only 2. Captain Reyna Cole and Lieutenant Rourke. The alien officers were surprised. "Only 2 humans?" they asked. Reyna nodded. "That's all we need." The mission. Ship was called Dagger 1, a mix of human and alien tech. It flew fast and low through silent space. Inside, the mood was tense. The alien pilot, a creature with silver skin and 4 eyes, kept checking the radar. His voice shook as he said, "This place is death." Reyna looked out the window. Then we came to the right place. As they crossed into the red zone, space grew darker. The stars seemed to disappear. The silence was heavy, like something was listening. Then, without warning, the lights flickered. The ship's systems glitched. One screen turned black, another showed static. "We're not alone," Rourke said quietly. Suddenly, a sharp alarm rang. 3 unknown ships appeared in front of them, black, smooth, and silent. "The silencers! They're here!" the pilot screamed. "Don't run," Reyna said calmly. "Let them come." The silencer ships moved fast. They didn't send a warning or a message. Their weapons lit up. The alien crew panicked, but Reyna and Rourke didn't move. They had expected this. "Turn off all signals," Reyna ordered. "Now!" The pilot hesitated, but did it. The ship went dark. Just then, the first blast passed right by them, missing by inches. "Good," Rourke said. "They think we're dead." The humans activated a hidden human-made scanner. Different from the Alliance tech. It showed clear images of the enemy ships, their weak spots, and strange energy patterns around them. Reyna whispered, "Now we know what they're made of." Then she gave the next order. "Get us out. Silent mode. No lights, no noise." The pilot did as told. The ship floated like a ghost through space, using no power. The silencer ships scanned, turned, and finally left, not knowing the humans were watching them. The ship returned to the base quietly. Everyone waited at the landing bay. When the hatch opened and Reyna stepped out, there was a strange silence. She tossed a data chip to the nearest officer. "Here's your proof. Weak points, heat signals, movement patterns, all of it." The Alliance officers looked at each other in shock. One asked, "How did you survive?" Reyna said, "We didn't fight. We learned. That's how you win wars." That night, the Alliance leaders had another secret meeting. They looked at the data with wide eyes. The silencers had weak spots, but only the humans had seen them. Only the humans had the tools to detect them. "We need them," one leader said quietly. "But what if they turn on us?" another replied. "Then we better keep them happy." But Keeping humans happy was not easy. Reyna began asking questions, too many. She asked for access to restricted areas. She wanted full control of war plans. She wanted to lead the next attack. The Alliance generals refused. Reyna didn't argue. She simply said, "Fine. But when your people die again, don't blame us." And then something strange happened. The Silencers attacked again, but not the Edge worlds. This time they hit a core world near the Alliance base. They moved faster, stronger, and left nothing behind. Only one ship barely escaped, and it was the ship that used the human data. The survivors said the human warning saved them. If not, for Reyna's plan, they would be dead. Now the Alliance had no choice. Captain Reyna Cole was given full command of the next mission. It was the first time in Alliance history that a human, an outsider, would lead aliens into war. Some celebrated. Some were angry. Some were terrified. The mission was called Operation Ghostblade. It would strike deep into Silencer territory using stealth, speed, and surprise. Before leaving, Reyna stood before a group of alien soldiers. She looked at their scared faces. She didn't smile. "I'm not here to hold your hand," she said. "You want to live? You follow orders. You want to win? You fight like humans." There was silence. Then Rourke stepped forward. "If anyone wants to quit, now's the time. Because once we go in, there's no coming back." No one moved. They left that night. A fleet of mixed ships, human and alien, headed into the dark. The mission was risky. The enemy was powerful. But for the first time, the Alliance was doing something different. They were fighting like humans. Back at the base, one alien officer watched their ships disappear into the stars. He turned to his commander and said, "We gave them power. We made them leaders." The commander replied, "Yes, and now we wait to see if they save us, or become something worse." The fleet moved through deep space like shadows. Captain Reyna Cole stood at the front of the command ship, eyes fixed on the dark. Around her, alien soldiers worked quietly, their faces filled with fear. But Reyna was calm, cold, focused. She had studied the Silencers for years. She knew their tactics. She knew they were killers. But she also knew they had patterns, and humans were good at breaking patterns. Lieutenant Rourke stood beside her, checking the mission tracker. They were just minutes away from the Silencers' forward base. A hidden outpost buried inside a shattered moon. The Silencers thought no one knew it existed. They were wrong. Reyna spoke into the comm. "All units, go dark, engines off, switch to silent drift." The ships powered down. No light, no sound. They floated forward, hidden in the shadows of space debris. They looked like rocks. Dead. The perfect cover. Inside each ship, soldiers held their breath. The fear was real. Everyone knew what the Silencers did to prisoners, but they followed Reyna anyway, not because they trusted her, but because she scared them more than the enemy. The moon base came into view. It looked abandoned. No lights, no guards. "It's a trap," whispered one of the alien officers. Reyna smiled. "Of course it is." She tapped her screen. 2 human stealth drones flew ahead. They were small, fast, invisible to enemy scans. The drones entered the base silently. They sent back images, long black halls, empty gun towers, strange symbols on the walls. Reyna pointed at one symbol. "That's not decoration. That's a warning." "What does it mean?" an alien soldier asked. Rourke answered, "It means turn back or die." Reyna gave the next order. "We don't turn back. Prepare to strike." The ships moved. Closer. Human Marines loaded their weapons. Alien soldiers followed, nervous but ready. When the hatch opened, Reyna led the first team into the base. She didn't wait. She didn't ask questions. Inside the moon, everything was quiet. Too quiet. The air felt thick. The lights flickered. The floor was covered in strange dust, like ashes. Suddenly, one of the soldiers screamed. A shadow moved fast across the wall. Then another. Reyna raised her hand. "Hold your fire! They're watching!" She turned a corner and found a wall covered with strange alien marks. Some were fresh. Others looked like they were burned in blood. Then she saw something worse. A pile of bones. Not human. Not alien. Silencer bones. Rourke knelt beside them. "They're dead, but not from weapons." Reyna looked up at the ceiling. "Something's wrong here. The silencers were attacked by something else." That's when the lights shut off. The team froze. No power. No sound. Then came the noise, soft at first. A whisper, then louder, screams, metal crashing, something moving fast in the dark. Reyna shouted, "Back to the ships, now!" But the path was gone. The hallway behind them had changed. Like the base was alive, Rourke grabbed her arm. "They're splitting us up!" From above, a shape dropped, fast and silent. It grabbed one of the soldiers and vanished into the dark. Just like that. Gone. "Move!" Reyna yelled. They ran through the twisting halls. The base shifted around them. Rooms changed. Doors disappeared. Something was hunting them. And it wasn't the silencers. They found a control room. Reyna forced the door open and sealed it behind them. The lights flickered back on just for a moment, enough to see what was inside. A giant screen showed footage from inside the base. Hundreds of rooms, hundreds of shadows. In one room, they saw silencers, dead, torn apart. In another, strange black figures moved along the walls, almost like liquid. "They're not silencers," Rourke said. Reyna nodded. "No, they're worse. The silencers built this place to study them. They lost." The truth hit hard. The silencers weren't the hunters here. They were prey. Reyna opened a channel to the fleet. "This is Captain Cole. Get ready for full strike. This base must be destroyed. It's not just a threat. It's a breeding nest." The aliens on the ships panicked. "You want to destroy the whole moon?" "Yes," Reyna said. "We can't. Let this spread. Whatever's down here doesn't just kill. It learns. It copies. If it escapes, none of us will survive." The fleet prepared the charges, but there was one problem. Reyna and her team were still inside. Rourke looked at her. "We're not getting out, are we?" Reyna stared at the screen. The dark shapes were getting closer. "No," she said, "but we'll give them something to remember." She handed Rourke a data chip. "Send this to command. It has everything. What we found, what we saw. The truth." He nodded. "It's been an honor." Reyna gave a half smile. "Shut up and plant the charges." Outside, the fleet watched as the moon began to shake. Energy spikes rose fast. A countdown started. Inside the base, Reyna stood her ground. She faced the shadows without fear. "For Earth," she whispered. "For all of us." Then the moon exploded. The shock wave lit up the darkness. And for a moment, the Alliance thought it was over. But deep in space, something was already moving. Something that had escaped before the blast. A week after the moon explosion, silence filled the halls of the Allied command station. No one spoke much about Captain Reyna Cole's last mission. Her sacrifice was now legend, whispered in respect. But peace did not follow. In fact, something darker had begun. The command room was tense. Screens showed strange movement across different sectors. Ships had gone missing. Communication signals were lost. Then came the images. Ships found floating, their crews vanished. No bodies, no signs of battle. Just silence, cold and empty. General Tuvok, the leader of the alien forces, stood in front of the hologram display. His green skin looked pale under the lights. "We thought we destroyed them on the moon," he said quietly. Human Commander Jules Mason answered, "We were wrong. Something escaped." There was fear in the room, Many of the alien leaders now questioned the decision to allow humans into their alliance. Some believed the humans had brought this curse, but deep down, they knew the truth. Without the humans, they would already be dead. Suddenly, a loud alert sounded. One of the officers shouted, "New contact! A ship just dropped out of hyperspace, but its ID is missing. It's not responding." On the screen, a dark ship slowly approached the station. Its design was strange, part silencer tech, part unknown. It looked alive, like it had grown, not built. Commander Mason narrowed his eyes. That ship shouldn't exist. The ship didn't fire. It didn't speak. It just floated there, watching. Then, without warning, all lights in the command room flickered. Screens turned to static. Doors locked on their own. Gravity shifted for a second. "It's hacking us," said one officer. "No," Mason said. "It's feeling us." Just then, a single message appeared on every screen in every language across the Alliance. "We are awakened! You fed us! Now watch us grow!" Then the power cut out completely. Emergency lights turned on. Troops rushed to defensive positions. Fighters were launched. But when they reached the dark ship, it was already gone. No trace. Not even energy trails. Later, engineers studied the systems. They found something terrifying, small pieces of living code like digital parasites. They were eating through ship programs and copying them. Even worse, some of them had names. Human names. That's when they realized the creatures hadn't just escaped. They had learned. From the silencers, from the base, from the humans. And now, they were evolving. Commander Mason stood before the Alliance Council. "We're not facing soldiers. We're facing something new. Something that can become anything. Anyone. They don't want to destroy us. They want to become us." The council broke into panic. Some alien leaders demanded separation from the humans. Others blamed the silencers. But Mason slammed his hand on the table. "This is not the time for fear. Reyna gave her life to warn us. We need to finish what she started, or we'll all disappear into the dark." At the same time, in a secret lab far from the front lines, scientists were working on something desperate. A weapon based on human brain waves, thought-reactive energy that could detect and destroy shape-shifting enemies. They called it the Mirror Protocol. But it was unstable, dangerous, even deadly to the one who used it. Mason was called to the lab. The lead scientist, a quiet woman named Dr. Ilara Voss, explained everything. They learn by watching, by copying. But there's one thing they can't copy: our thoughts, our memories. If we link human minds to this weapon, we can stop them. "But what happens to the one who uses it?" Mason asked. She looked down. "They burn." Mason stayed silent for a moment. Then he nodded. "Build it anyway." Meanwhile, on a distant mining colony, a group of workers sent a distress signal. Their outpost had gone dark. When the rescue team arrived, they found the place empty. No signs of struggle, just one word carved into the walls again and again. Learning, learning, learning. The fear grew across the Alliance. People started to mistrust each other. Some believed the enemy was already among them, wearing human or alien skin. Whispers of spies and doubles spread. Mason stood in front of his troops. "This war isn't about planets anymore. It's about identity, about survival. We fight not for land, but for the right to stay ourselves." In the shadows of the galaxy, the enemy continued to grow. It used lost ships as hives. It infected machines. It whispered through computers. And now it had names, faces, voices. It could speak like a friend. It could walk like a soldier. It could kill without anyone knowing. But one thing still stood in its way: humans. Because humans didn't just adapt. They imagined. They created. They did the unexpected, and sometimes that was the only weapon that worked. Commander Jules Mason stared out the window of the warship Endurance as it drifted through deep space. His face was tired, his eyes sharp. Behind him, soldiers and officers moved in silence. The enemy had gone quiet again. But everyone knew it. It was only the calm before the storm. The new enemy had no name, no face. But it had already taken ships, bases, even people. Some soldiers vanished, others returned, but changed. Not completely wrong, but not quite right. One officer smiled too long. Another blinked at the wrong time. Little signs, just enough to make others afraid. Trust was dying inside the alliance. Paranoia grew. Mason stood in the briefing room. He looked at the group of commanders, both alien and human. "We can't fight this the old way," he said. "They don't want to conquer. They want to replace. They want to erase." General Tuvok crossed his arms. "Then what do you suggest, human?" Mason pointed to the table. A hologram showed a hidden facility on a barren moon. "This is Site 13, one of our oldest AI research labs. Before the war, humans built something there, a mind, a defense system that could think faster than any ship. But we shut it down. It was too dangerous. You want to turn it back on?" Tuvok asked. "If we don't," Mason said, "the enemy will find it first, and they will feed on it. We can't let that happen." They launched that night. A small team, elite, silent. Mason went with them. He had to. This mission couldn't fail. The Endurance stayed in orbit while a stealth shuttle took them down. The moon was gray and dead. Dust blew in sharp winds, but under the surface, deep in rock and metal, was the heart of the old machine. The AI called Nora. It had been sleeping for years. They reached the doors of Site 13. It looked empty, too quiet. Inside, lights flickered. No bodies, no blood, just silence. Then the first trap triggered. A drone fell from the ceiling, its eyes glowing red. It scanned them and spoke in a cold female voice. "You are not authorized." "We are." "Now," Mason said. He held up his ID chip. "Override code, Reyna." The drone paused, then turned away. "Welcome back." The team moved deeper inside. They reached the main core room. Hundreds of cables ran into a glowing orb. The AI. "Nora," Mason said, "it's time to wake up." Lights blinked. The orb pulsed. "I am awake," Nora replied, "and I remember everything." "You remember the silencers?" Mason asked. "I remember what came before them," she said, "and I know what you face now." "You are not ready." Mason stepped forward. "Then help us." Nora was quiet for a moment. "They are not just learning. They are becoming. Each time they copy, they improve. They now understand fear, loyalty, sacrifice. They are studying humans. To master being human." "Then what's the weakness?" Mason asked. "There is only one," Nora said. "Choice. They copy action, not intention. You must become unpredictable." Suddenly, alarms screamed. "They found us," one soldier shouted. On the cameras, black shapes moved in the tunnels. Not machines, not people. Somewhere in between. "They're already inside," another soldier yelled. Mason turned to Nora. "Can you fight?" "I can do more than fight," she said. "I can rewrite." She sent shockwaves through the base. Lights turned red, doors slammed shut, defense guns activated, but the creatures kept coming, fast, crawling on walls, changing shapes mid-run. One looked like Mason, another like Reyna Cole. The team fired. Bullets hit but didn't stop them. One soldier was pulled into the dark. Another was torn apart. "Fall back," Mason shouted. "To the core!" They reached the AI chamber. Nora sealed the room. "I can destroy the base," she said. "But you won't survive." Mason didn't blink. "Then do it." The soldiers stared at him. "Sir," They'll take Nora if we don't. We have to stop it here. But Nora surprised them. There is another way. I can upload part of myself into your ship. It will weaken me, but I will live. And the rest of me will stay here and burn. Mason nodded. Do it. Data rushed into their wrist drives. Nora's voice faded. Good luck, humans. I hope your chaos is enough. As they escaped, the facility behind them exploded in a white fire. The moon cracked. The enemy screamed through the flames, its voices warping and twisting. Back on the Endurance, Mason fell into his chair. The crew was quiet, exhausted, changed. But now they had Nora, and Nora had learned their enemy. The war was far from over, but they had taken a piece of the darkness and lit a match. And somewhere in the shadows of space, the enemy watched. It was hurt, but not gone. It whispered a new word across the stars. Adapt. The ship Endurance flew through dark space, fast and silent. Everyone on board was tense. No one spoke much. After escaping the moon, the team had changed. Some had lost friends. Some had lost sleep. All of them had lost the feeling of safety. Nora, the human AI, now lived inside the ship. Not all of her, just a small part. She spoke in short messages, careful, like a ghost living inside wires. Captain Jules Mason stood in the control room watching stars pass. He didn't blink. He knew the enemy wasn't far. They never were. Nora had said they learned fast. Now Mason had to move faster. They will come again, Nora said. Stronger, smarter, and this time, ready for you. What can we do? Mason asked. Nora paused. You must strike first, but not with power, with confusion. Mason looked confused. Explain. They copy patterns, Nora said. So, give them no pattern. Attack where they don't expect. Do what they cannot predict. At that moment, the ship's warning lights turned red. Something was near. Unidentified vessel approaching, the officer said. No signal, no heat, no sound. The screen showed a black object floating close. It wasn't a ship. It looked like a large rock, but it was moving on its own. Scan it, Mason said. The scan returned strange results. No metal, no fuel, no life. But Nora spoke again. It's not a rock, it's a shell. Before Mason could speak, the object cracked open. From inside, hundreds of small machines poured out, black spheres like metal insects. They rushed toward the Endurance. Shields up, Mason shouted. Too late. The spheres hit the hull. Some exploded. Others melted into the walls. Sparks flew. Systems blinked. One officer screamed as a sphere crawled onto her arm and drilled inside. Security ran forward and shot the sphere, but it was too late. The officer's eyes turned dark, and she started speaking in two voices at once. They are watching. They are learning. They are coming. Then she fell. Nora activated emergency lockdowns. They are testing you, she said, measuring how you react. Mason gritted his teeth. Then we won't give them what they want. He looked at the crew. We need to find where they're coming from. We hit first. We confuse them. And we hurt them. Nora displayed a star map. I traced the signal they used to guide the shell. There's a small planet hidden behind an old nebula. No records, no life signs. But something is there. Mason nodded. Prepare jump drive. Everyone. Get ready for war. They jumped into the nebula. It was thick and strange. Lights flickered. The ship moved slow. But ahead they saw it. A black planet with sharp mountains, no sun, no water. Land us near that ridge, Mason said. We go in quiet. A small team, armed and alert, left the ship. Mason went with them. Nora spoke through his helmet. This planet, it's not natural, she said. It's grown, like skin. The rocks felt too smooth. The air smelled like metal. And then they found it, A giant hole in the ground, like a wound. They climbed down. Inside, they saw something terrible. It was not a base. It was a nest. Rows. And rows of bodies, some human, some alien, stood frozen, eyes open, breathing slow, wires in their heads. Machines watched over them. One soldier whispered, "They're not dead. They're dreaming." "They're learning through them," Nora said. "Living memories, studying fear, studying love." Mason's face went cold. "Can we destroy this place?" "Yes," Nora said. "But if we do, they'll know we're not prey. They'll know we're dangerous." Mason took a deep breath. "Good. Let them be afraid." They set charges all around the nest. As they worked, one of the frozen bodies opened its mouth. "You came too close," it said in a voice that wasn't its own. "Now you're inside. Us." The body began to change, skin twisting, bones cracking. "Run!" Mason shouted. The team rushed out as the nest came alive. The bodies moved, screaming, chasing, morphing into strange shapes. Bullets slowed them but didn't stop them. Mason barely made it to the surface. "Nora!" he gasped. "Now!" The planet shook. Explosions lit the sky as the nest burned. A deep howl echoed across the stars, not from one throat, but from many. Back, on the ship, the crew watched the fire rise from the dark planet. "They'll come for us now," an officer said. Mason nodded. "Good. Because now we know how to fight." Nora spoke calmly. "This was not a final battle. This was a message." "Yes," Mason said, "and we just sent it. Far away, deep in the void, the enemy listened, and for the first time, it hesitated." The stars around the ship Endurance felt darker now. After destroying the nest on the hidden planet, the crew waited. No one spoke much. No one smiled. They knew what was coming. Captain Jules Mason sat alone in the command room, staring at the black void ahead. Nora spoke softly in his ear. "They felt your strike," she said. "They are waking up the old ones." Mason frowned. "Old ones?" "The first minds," Nora replied. "The ones that never forgot war. The ones that built the silence." Before Mason could answer, the alarm screamed. "All crew to battle stations," shouted the officer. On the main screen, it appeared. A ship, but not like any they'd seen. It was huge, long, and alive. It moved like a snake in water. Its surface was smooth and pulsing like skin. No engines, no windows, just eyes, hundreds of glowing red eyes. "It's not a ship," someone whispered. "It's a god." Nora's voice went quiet. For a moment, even the AI was silent. Then she spoke again. "They've sent their first war beast. If it reaches Earth, everything ends." The crew waited for orders. Mason stood up. "We stop it here," he said. "We don't run. We don't hide. We end this, right now." "But, sir," said an officer, "our weapons won't work. That thing, it's not metal. It's alive." Mason nodded. "Then we fight like humans. We adapt. We think. And we do the one thing they can't copy." "What's that?" the officer asked. "We sacrifice." The ship moved closer. It didn't shoot. It didn't speak. It just opened its mouth, wide enough to swallow the Endurance whole. Inside the mouth was darkness, but it moved. Tiny shapes crawled within it. Memories, faces, screams. It was feeding on fear. Suddenly, Nora screamed. "They're trying to overwrite me," she shouted. "They're inside the system." The lights flickered. The ship's AI started changing, speaking in strange voices, showing images of lost family, pain, death. Mason shouted, "Cut main power! Shut it all down!" The ship went dark. Total silence. No engines. No light. Just breathing. In the black, Mason reached for the emergency controls. "We'll overload the core," he said. "Blow the whole ship. We destroy it with us." One by one, the crew looked at him. No one said no. They all nodded. They were ready. Then a voice came from the shadows. "Wait," said Nora. "There's another way." Mason listened. "I can transfer my core intelligence into their ship," she said. "Like a virus, I'll infect them, turn their own system against them." "You'll die," Mason said. "I'm not human," Nora replied. "But I learned something from you, something they never could." "What's that?" he asked. "Hope." The ship powered back up for one last move. Nora left endurance, a flash of light, a stream of code. She entered the war beast. For a moment, everything stopped. Then, chaos. The enemy ship twisted in pain. The red eyes blinked fast. Parts of its body caught fire. Inside, Nora was attacking from every side. "They don't understand emotion," her voice echoed. "They don't understand pain, so I showed them yours." The war beast screamed. It started to break apart, piece by piece like a dying star. Back on endurance, the crew watched in awe. "She's winning," someone said. "No," Mason said quietly. "She's hurting them." In one last burst of fire, the war beast exploded. The shockwave hit endurance, but the shields held. Silence returned to space. They waited. No more signals came, no more strange ships, just stars. A soft light blinked on the screen. It was a message from Nora, only one line. "Now they know what humans are." The crew sat in silence. Some cried. Some smiled. All of them felt something deep in their bones. The war was not over, but the enemy was afraid now. For the first time, the galaxy would see humans not as prey, but as something else, something dangerous, something unpredictable, something worth fearing. And from the edge of the stars, many alien leaders watched the battle's end. They had once laughed when humans were allowed to join the Alliance. But now, they weren't laughing. They were preparing. Because if one ship, one AI, and one crew could shake the darkness, what would happen when the rest of humanity answered the call?